As long as this is only a couple of weeks, then no, they're not in trouble. We know they have no chance of winning the West without LeBron playing right at the top of his game for what it is right now. And he was playing terrifically. So if he's out for 2-3 weeks, but he's fine, you know, he comes back health-wise, and Rui Hachimura and Jackson Hayes eventually come back healthy too, because, Nick, Luka needs a Jackson Hayes at the rim. Greg and I were talking about this earlier. Like, Luka's always that lob threat. You saw it in Dallas throughout his career. Having that lob threat at the rim to catch and finish is great for Luka Doncic and even LeBron James. So as long as they can get healthy, I think they'll be fine. Now, Nick, you may bring this up. Their seeding is probably going to drop. All right, just in the next 2 weeks, they've got 8 games, 2 of them against Milwaukee, 2 of them against Denver, another one against Phoenix. So they're already barely holding off, you know, Denver to get that second seed. So they may drop, you know, in the standings. But look, the West is so close and so deep that they can't worry about the seeding. For the Lakers, they got to be like, we just got to be healthy for when the time comes. And if they can get to that part, they'll be all right. I think a silver lining is that this will just give Luka even more chance to claim this offense as his own, right? Like, LeBron was doing a great job of turning it over to him. But now, for the next 2 weeks with LeBron out, it will, without question, be the Luka Doncic show. And LeBron has shown that he can step right in, play off Luka, play off the ball, and give you 25 to 30 points a night. So I think that's a silver lining if they can come back really healthy.
So stay on the silver lining for a moment and maybe get Austin Reeves going again, because Austin missed some time with an injury, and then in the couple games he's been back, he hasn't really looked like himself. He gets to kind of be the Robin to Luka's Batman as far as from an offensive creator perspective, so he can maybe get rolling again. But yeah, so right now, the Western Conference 2 through 5 is Lakers, Denver, Memphis, Houston. And the losses for those teams are 22, 23, 24, 25, respectively. And so when you look at the Lakers' next 10, like if LeBron's out 3 weeks, which would be the next 10 games, I look at it like this. You basically have to – the Brooklyn game tonight all of a sudden is tough because Rui is still out. I think Jackson Hayes is still out. Dorian Finney-Smith is out for this game. But you look at the Nets, Suns, Spurs, Bulls, Magic, Pacers. Those 6 games, I feel like you're hoping to go 5-1, and then maybe that allows you to go 1-3 in the 4 against the Bucks and the Nuggets, and then you're 6-4 and you don't drop too far. But I agree with you that even if they go 3-7 in this stretch and drop all the way to the 5, that's not a death knell for them, especially because because the seeding is so bunched, you don't know is Golden State going to climb to the 5? Are they going to drop to the 7? You don't know who you're going to be facing in the first round anyway. LeBron Wildes didn't seem overly concerned, and I also think the Lakers maybe, and we'll talk maybe more about this when we get to the Celtics side of this, were somewhat encouraged by a lot of pieces of that game, despite the third quarter being such a disaster, because that was a game Boston, you guys both called it a must-win. They treated it like a must-win. They played their guys like a must-win, and we were talking about the Lakers not having enough size potentially when they're fully healthy. That game, they played 43 of the 48 minutes where the tallest player on the court was LeBron James for the Lakers. There was a 6-8 and under game, and they still found themselves down 4 in the fourth quarter and down 4 at halftime. And so I'm still bullish on the Lakers, assuming that we're not going to find out this is a 4 to 6 week injury, which, given LeBron's comments, it doesn't sound like he's worried about.
All right, so I'm going to show a silly highlight to make an interesting point. So the Lakers are 8-3 with Luka. And, Brew, you're very down on young teams, largely because they haven't either played enough together. It's a low light that's just a strange play from Jordan Goodwin here. Do you think, Brew, that the lack of chemistry, that this is still a new team, and as great as LeBron is, and as well as he's meshed with Luka, we know that they'll be great. But maybe everybody on the team, like, all right, another 2 weeks without LeBron, we are not going to be the team that we could be next year, or we will not be hitting peak once the playoffs happen. And I know it just feels like you're rubber stamping the chemistry a little bit prematurely.
No, look, I think that's fair. Obviously, chemistry is huge, and you need chemistry to win a championship. You may not have 100% of your chemistry, but you still can win big because what? You got great talent. Mm-hmm. We saw it in Miami. LeBron and Wade were not always, at least early on that first year, the chemistry wasn't 100%. They still were able to get to the NBA Finals. They obviously didn't win it, but they still were able to get there because they had so much talent. And that's the thing, when you look at the Lakers with LeBron playing off the ball and kind of playing this different role, but still being great in it, then you got 2 top 8 players in the league at their best, and that's just hard to deal with. And so that talent, and then the other guys playing off of them because these guys are great passers, I think that could enable them. The chemistry has to improve and be at a certain level, but it doesn't have to be at its peak for this team to go deep, Wildes.
Okay. Nick, do you agree with that? We're going to move on to Celtics if you do.
Yeah, no, I mean, I also think that you have 2 guys who are 2 of the all-time guys as far as great regular season players who across the board their numbers get better in the playoffs in Luka and LeBron. Right. That is incredibly rare. And so, yeah, and also I do not think Goodwin is going to be a part of the playoff rotation. Now, that play maybe could have happened with anybody, but he's like their 11th man when they're actually healthy. Now, what I will say is this, quickly before we go to the Celtics, what this game did show you is there has never been a team that is as reliant on a Jackson Hayes or a Rui Hachimura because they are just so small. Right. They're small with those guys. Without those guys, they are LeBron and Luka were playing real minutes at center, and I do wonder if some of that contributed to LeBron kind of overexerting himself and straining his groin. Maybe not. Listen, I'm no doctor, obviously, but it's a lot to ask of anyone at his size, particularly a guy who's 40 years old. So they obviously need to be healthy, not just LeBron, but their other bigs going into the postseason.
Okay, turn our attention to the Celtics.
I think that they proved that they are very capable, and I'd say could be viewed as the front runner to be the first repeat champion since the Steph KD Warriors in 2018, 7 years. Like, they got a great chance to repeat. And the most impressive thing to me was the defense. I have not seen, Jaylen Brown, hats off to you, brother. Al Horford, hats off to you, brother.
Al Horford.
I have not seen, and Jaylen gave Luka some nightmares.
Yep.
I haven't really seen anybody do that to Luka Doncic. I know Luka ended up with, I think, 34, 32, whatever it was. Yeah. He got going late. But, man, they made him struggle early. And their defense was tenacious. So they do everything well. Now, they are overly reliant on the three. There are a few teams like that. But they are the only team in the league that more than half of their shots are three-pointers. And what that does is, by the nature of the jump shot, you're going to fluctuate. So they're going to have some runs, some great games where they just run away from teams. But the lead can always shrink. And you saw it in this game if you get cold from three. So that's something. But they've got it all. They've got the size. They play defense. They shoot the three. In Tatum and Brown, they've got guys that can go by you and get to the rim. So, and now they have experience as champions. So I think, Nick, I said last week when I picked the Lakers to win the West that I still felt at that time, you know what, in a series, I probably like Boston over them. It's hard. I'm not making a pick right now. It's hard to pick over Luka and LeBron in a 7-game series against, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. But right now at this moment, I do feel like Boston is the best team in the league.
Well, with respect to the Thunder, it still feels like Boston's A game is the best in the league right now. But to the point you made, Boston was up 21 with 11 and a half minutes remaining and up 4 with 5 minutes remaining.
Right.
I know you've made the point that in the modern NBA, a 20-point lead can shrink, but that was fast. That was even by modern NBA standpoint. I also thought it was noteworthy that while Tatum before the game said he doesn't consider this a rivalry, you know who does, evidently? Joe Mazzulla, who played Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown like this was a playoff game. Mm-hmm. Jason Tatum, the only regulation game in his career he's ever played more minutes was Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals. There has never been, or a few years ago, there has never been a regulation game playoffs or regular season regulation game where Tatum and Brown played more combined minutes than they did in this game. And listen, you mentioned Horford's defense was brilliant, Jaylen Brown was brilliant, and Tatum had an all-around great game, which was important because the first time they played the Lakers, I think he had 16, 6, and 5, which then brings me to Kevin Wildes' tweet, which, Brew, you don't follow Kevin Wildes on Twitter, and it's probably good for the show because Kevin Wildes is, you know how some celebrities don't run their own Twitter account?
Why was that not
I'm
close?
starting to think Wildes is one of those people.
It's 40,
because Wildes tweets things
enough?
like this. Tatum is the best player on the floor, and it doesn't look particularly close. And then doesn't have this same type of vigor when it comes to talking about Tatum on the talk show that he hosts. So I have this question, Kevin Wildes. Because this seems to be what I and others read into the tweet. Do you think Jason Tatum is better than Luka Doncic?
Well, it's a good
Not just better in that game. Do you think he's better?
Were the Lakers coming down the floor looking for, like, hey, where's Tatum? Let's hunt Tatum on defense. I didn't see that happen one time. I don't think that was part of J.J. Redick's plan. I know it was part of Joe Mazzulla's plan. And you know what I like? I don't play fantasy basketball, Brew. You ever do that?
No.
You get points for like rebounds, and you can get points and you can play. It's called fantasy. I like wins and losses. That's what I'm about. I'm about hanging rafters, hanging banners in the rafters. I don't hang the rafters themselves. Head-to-head wins their last 3 seasons. This is including playoffs. Don't get me wrong. Luka does dominate the Phoenix Suns when he gets a chance to play them. But when he's playing Jason Tatum, he's got 1 win in the last 10 games. So maybe you're a Luka guy. Maybe you like the counting stats. I'm more of a W's guy. I'm more of an all-around teams wins guy.
So is Tatum better?
So I would take, I don't know. I know that when the game starts, the team that has Jason Tatum on
because then
wins.
I have another question.
Go ahead.
So right now, this moment, if you do you think, Jay, you said a whole lot there without a whole lot of nothing. Who's better, Tatum or Luka?
I think when the games are played, Tatum is better.
So when the games are played,
okay. So that right.
Do I think Luka? I don't want to dim Luka's candle, but I think Luka's great. So I don't want to be painted into this corner where Wild saying Luka stinks. It is like a binary thing.
No, nobody's saying that.
You think Jordan's great, LeBron stinks. That's the way it is. I think Tatum.
Nobody is saying that.
Tatum outplays Luka. But Luka will have more counting stats, but he also gets hunted.
Go ahead,
go ahead, Brew.
Well, I was going to say this. Look, I think Luka Doncic is better than Jason Tatum, but this is a year. Jason Tatum, this could be his year. And I don't mean he's obviously won the championship last year, so I don't mean in that regard. But he does not get the respect. You guys know I've been beating this drum that I feel he deserves. He's not, even I agree, I don't feel like he's in the face of the league, running right now. But he could change all that this year. And the way he could change it is by winning his 2nd straight championship. Like I said, being the first team to do that in 7 years, playing well throughout the playoffs and especially in the finals, being the finals MVP. And if they were to get the Lakers and he beats LeBron and Luka in the finals, and I'll say the defense was great for Boston. Early on, when the Lakers were winning the game, it was still close, but the Lakers were winning. I was like, Wildes, I wanted Jason Tatum to say, give me LeBron. We got Jaylen Brown guarding Luka. I wanted Jason to say, let me guard LeBron. He's part of the reason, not because of personality, but because of game. Part of the reason I got no time in the Olympics. Give me LeBron James. And I didn't see it. So and look, maybe that just wasn't great for the team, but I would have liked to have seen that. So I'm looking at Jason Tatum the rest of this run to see if he's going to make this my year where I do get in the face of the league conversation.
Two things. One, the play at the end of the first half when he's like, you know what, I'm just going to go down the court and dunk the ball. I love that. And there was a part when, I don't know if you remember this play, Nick, the Lakers are on a bit of a run. And everyone's shooting threes. And I'm like, please just go to the basket. And Tatum got to the rim. He like kind of like cradled it, and he did like a left hand. And it sort of stopped the bleeding. I'm like, yes, I like the take over the game aspect. But Luka has a ton.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.